Hey guys, so I know I said I was going to do a video about what I'm going to be doing all summer, but I kind of ran out of time and didn't, so I figured I'd just do one now to fill you guys in before I just start posting videos of all these places and you're like, what the heck? It's like I wasn't even on Instagram or Snapchat to kind of be like, I'm here now, or I mean I kind of was, but not totally. So I will start by telling you what I did, and then after I post this video, I'll start posting videos of where I was and just like the cool stuff. But I just woke up, so I'm also gonna be like making my smoothie, so I'll show you what I'm gonna put in my smoothie and stuff too. Okay, well, but I'll start in May, so when I kind of stopped posting videos and stuff. I left for Mexico on my 21st birthday, so I was like really hungover and just had a really long car ride to Mexico. We went to a place called Shipwrecks, which is where my dad and a few friends have a little like beach house. So we had like a big group of my friends come down and like celebrate my birthday, which was really fun. We spent the whole weekend there. A few people left on Memorial Day to come back to the States and ended up being at the border for like 10 hours because it's just like, oh, terrible holiday. Like, it's just gonna take forever there. It normally takes a while at the border, but 10 hours was crazy. But we came back Tuesday, which was smarter. We didn't spend as much time at the border. But yeah, Mexico was cool. We surfed a bunch, drank a bunch. It was just a blast. Big party for the whole weekend. It was a great time. So then I came back home for one day, and I washed my clothes from Mexico and then packed to go on a trip for a long time. So I had one day in between Mexico and leaving, so I kind of counted as like one whole trip from Mexico to when I came back. So yeah, I drove to LAX and flew to Hawaii. My friend Kira picked me up from the airport and went and got shaved ice, and that was cool. And I stayed with my friend Amber there, and I was there for like 2 weeks or so. We just went to the beach a bunch, like enjoyed Hawaii, beautiful place, and just, yeah, so kind of started Mexico to Hawaii. Then after my time in Hawaii, I flew to Australia, which the flight to Australia kind of screwed me over. They charged me for like extra baggage even though I didn't have extra baggage, so I still have to email that airline because they charged me like $300 for like a backpack that should have been a carry-on. So yeah, don't fly with Jetstar. Like, don't. They suck. Like, charge me $300 for a backpack. Not cool. Anyway, I got to Australia. Oh, and on that flight, it was like a 9 or 10 hour flight. They didn't have any food, they didn't have any drinks, nothing. Just like, I was like, okay, I better fall asleep before I starve to death. Like, it was bad. Like, you're supposed to have food on a flight like that, or drinks, or something. Yeah, don't fly with Jetstar. Okay. Anyway, got to Australia. Didn't have service or anything, and I found it kind of weird. Australia isn't like the United States in the fact that like the US, you can find Wi-Fi like anywhere. There's Wi-Fi everywhere, but in Australia that wasn't really the case. So I didn't have like service at all because I was like, I'll just use Wi-Fi, it'll be whatever. But yeah, so I stayed with Ellie Hayden and Ellie Walton, and it was kind of hard to figure out where to go just because like I couldn't really contact them because I had no service. But I had Wi-Fi in the airport, so I got the address and like got the info where to take the train. So I took the train, then got off the train and was like, okay, I can't call an Uber, and Ellie had crashed her car that morning, so she couldn't come pick me up. So I was like, what do I do? There's no Wi-Fi around me, so yeah, you can't like call anybody or text anybody or anything. So I went up to some lady and was just like, here's this address, how do I get there? And she's like, well, get on this bus, and I don't know where exactly it'll take you or how close it'll take you, but just ask the bus driver when you get on, because she knew that was the right bus. So I got on the bus and I asked the bus driver, where do I get off to get to this place? And he's like, oh, I don't know, I have no idea. And I'm like, oh my god, what? And like, this other lady on the bus is like, oh, let me see, where are you going? And I showed her and she's like, yeah, I don't know either. And then this other girl looked it up on her phone and they like let me know, get off at this stop, you walk down a few streets and you'll get there. So that worked, which was cool, thankfully. Otherwise I would have just been kind of screwed. But yeah, so I got off the bus and start walking, and there's this guy following me like pretty closely for like a few blocks, and I'm like kind of freaking out, like, who is this guy? Why is he following me so closely? Like, my phone's not gonna work, what if like I'm in trouble, or I don't know. And so I like turn around and I'm like, hey, where are you going? And he tells me the address, and it's the same address that I'm going to, and I'm like, oh my god, did he overhear me on the bus? Like, is this like, I don't know. And so I'm like, oh, who do you know there? And he's like, my girlfriend lives there. And I'm like, okay, like, is your girlfriend Ellie, or live with Ellie? And he's like, yeah, Ellie's one of the roommates. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes, thank god. Like, okay, so I'm going there too. I'm going to see Ellie, and yeah, so we can walk together and you're not gonna kill me. So that was cool. Yeah, so I got there safely finally. It took me like so long to figure out where I was going, and just, it was kind of a scary mess, like first time being without service, other than Mexico. I know Mexico pretty well by now just because I've been there so many times, but yeah, first time to Australia, no service, didn't know anything. Yeah, so I got there safely. We all went out that night, like Ellie, me, and Kat was there too, and we had a good time. I was there when it was like the coldest weather. Like, I don't know, I guess I just been in Hawaii and like really hot, but I guess they said it was cold too. Like, we went walking on the beach one of the days and like a rainstorm came and we just got like soaking wet and had to run for cover at like a park, but I had a good time with them. I only had a few days there until my boyfriend Philip flew to Australia, so I took the train back to the airport a few days later, and then we got a place for the night because we had our flight in the morning to go to Fiji. So yeah, we flew to Fiji a few days after I landed in Australia and the day after Philip landed in Australia. And so we got there, and Fiji was pretty easy to figure out. We didn't have service there either, but like there's all these people like, take our bus or come to our resort or come, like, let me take you somewhere. And so that was cool. Like, we found the bus we were supposed to be on and got to our resort, stayed there a night, and then the next morning took a boat out to like Usawa Islands. But at that resort on that like main, like Fiji's main island that you fly into, Philip and I went for a walk on the beach that night, like at sunset, and so like the sun had just set and we're like, okay, we should probably walk back now. And some guy comes up to us and he's like, you want to get back to your resort right now, don't be here after dark, it's a scary place, like you won't be safe here, like walk back now, like go before something bad happens. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember reading online I wasn't supposed to walk away from the resort here. And yeah, so anyway, we were fine. We walked back really quick. So yeah, the next morning we took the boat out to, our first stop was Kuata, and that was really cool. Like, we got off the boat, had our little like introduction thing, and got our room, which was like unbelievable. Like our bed was right at this window that was like the beach right in front, and like it was just beautiful. You'll see in videos. But so we got off the boat, put our stuff in the room, and like went out to the boat and went shark diving, which was awesome. There's like a ton of little sharks, and it was like we just got off the boat and put our stuff in the room and went and swam with sharks. Like, Fiji's cool, alright? So that was fun. And they had like breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for you, which was cool. And then we like rented kayaks the next day, kayaked around the entire island and like snorkeled, found all these trenches and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah, and then after 2 days there, we got on the boat again and went to Barefoot Manta, which was really cool too, because the next day we got to swim with manta rays that were like massive, like twice my wingspan. They were huge and like really, really, really cool. It was unbelievable. That was probably my favorite Fiji experience, swimming with manta rays, and they were just incredible, so incredible. Yeah, we were there a few more days. We did snorkeling there. It had a much more lively reef there, which was cool. It was a beautiful place. Then we got on that boat again and went to Beachcomber Island, which is where we've met up with Philip's brother and his girlfriend. And it was cool to finally see people again, like people I knew, and just like, instead of me and Philip, not that it was like, I don't know, it was just cool to have like other people we knew, other than just each other, which we liked, but still, we hadn't seen people for a while. Yeah, so we met up with them, then we went to Funky Fish Resort, which was really cool too. Like, we went there because we wanted to surf, and so like from the resort on the like deck, you could see Tavarua and Namotu, which was so cool. And we got on the boat that same day that we got there and went to Tavarua and Cloud Break and snorkeled and surfed, and that was really cool. Then we went to swimming pools after and surfed there. Then the next day we got on the boat again and went to Namotu Lefts and Cloud Break, and we just kind of made all the same stops, but kind of like still Namotu and Tavarua, and just surfed different spots. And I don't know, it was awesome. Like all these waves you hear about in Surfing Magazine and all that, you just like, it's right in your face and you hear it and you can surf it, and you're not watching it on like a competition on your computer screen, or like it's real life. And that was really cool. One of the days I like swam over to that like tower at Cloud Break where all the judges sit, and climbed up there. It was amazing. Like the view of Cloud Break, it was awesome. Yeah, so then after that we went back to like Fiji's like main island and spent a couple days there. Went to Garden of the Sleeping Giant, which was cool. A lot of like flowers and plants and green, just green, like really cool. Then we flew back to Brisbane in Australia and got picked up by our friend's dad, Dwight, and we got a hostel there for the night, and our friend Sienna was flying in later that night, so we had a rental car. And the group grew from 2 to 4 to 6, so all 6 of us were together. And we did a road trip down to Byron Bay. We passed by all those like great spots like Kira and Snapper, and that was really cool. We got to do some more surfing because we knew later in the trip we probably weren't going to be able to surf at all. So yeah, we hit all those cool like iconic surf spots. We stayed in Byron Bay for a couple days, which was probably by far my favorite town in Australia. I mean, it was just so cool. Yeah, I wish we could have stayed there longer, but then again, we left and did awesome stuff. Yeah, so then we drove up the coast, like hit Noosa. I got to meet up with one of my friends in Noosa, who I knew. He's from Florida. I met him in California, and he's been in Australia for like a year or more. So I hadn't seen him in a while, and we got to meet up and like go to the beach, and that was cool. And then we drove more north to Yeppoon, where Sienna and Dwight's sailboat was. And this was like the main reason for the whole trip, was to go sailing for about a month. I think we were on the boat a little over a month. And so we got to Yeppoon, we saw the boat, and it's like a 34-foot catamaran, which is a good sized boat, but there's like 3 beds and 6 of us. But we made it work, and it was awesome. It was a great experience. We sailed north to, we made a lot of checkpoints. We got to the Whitsundays and spent a lot of time there. We got stuck in a storm for a couple days, but wasn't bad. Went to Airlie Beach. We went out to the Great Barrier Reef, which was amazing. Like, the best snorkeling ever. Like, it's unlike any other reef. And we were just in Fiji snorkeling beautiful reefs, and it was just unbelievable. Like, totally different in the best way, and just like lively still, thankfully. And Sienna had a drone so we could see all the reef around us. So that was amazing. Yeah, we spent a lot of time on Whitsunday Island, went to Whitehaven Beach, Hill Inlet. Those were some beautiful places that you'll see a lot of pictures from, just because it was like one of my favorites. Yeah, and then, we were on the boat for a month at least, and our trip sadly had to come to an end eventually after sailing for that long. I had never really been sailing before, so that was a cool experience, good learning experience, and just like, I don't know, you're living on a boat, you're like, living minimal, and it's just good for anyone to do. Like, no cell service, no social media, no anything. I just got cut off there. I got a call from my dad, who is at a fire. He's at Chimney Fire, that's like burning in like Paso, at Nos. But yeah, I got to talk to him. They're like staying at Cal Poly dorms where my sister went. My like best friend goes there, my boyfriend goes there, so it's kind of funny. He's like staying in their dorm rooms. Anyway, back to the trip. Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, there's like no cell service on the boat, none of that. So it's a good experience. Like, I'd recommend anyone to try something like that, of course. Yeah, so after sailing for a month off the coast of Australia, the trip came to an end, unfortunately, but it was a great trip, and like, surprisingly, like, no one fought on the boat, except for Sienna and her dad, but like, I don't know, we're all good friends, and so it was kind of like, either we're gonna get along well, or like, someone's gonna end up fighting, and just like, things aren't gonna be the same, but it was all good, we all got along, it was great. Yeah, so everyone flew back like August 3rd or something like that, or the 2nd. Yeah, they left the 2nd, and we didn't fly till the 4th, so we were there a few extra days. But yeah, flew home. Well, not home. I had like a 12-hour layover in Hawaii, so I was kind of excited about it because like, I got a day in Hawaii. Like, I left Australia at like 9 at night on the 4th and got to Hawaii at like 10 a.m. on the 4th. So I like got to August 4th, which was cool. I don't know. So like, I left the airport, went to my sister's work because she was working in Hawaii all summer, and like, Kinsley and I are like best friends, so it was like, we've been gone all summer, we haven't spent any time together all summer. She did go to Mexico, but like, that was back in May, and it's August, and we hadn't seen each other. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Like, reunited. It was so cool. So yeah, I saw her at work, spent a few hours with her, and then went and saw my friend Amber, who I stayed with in Hawaii at the very beginning of the trip. Went to her work, and like, on her break we went and got dinner, and it was cool to like catch up. It had been a while too, and like, I hadn't been able to talk to people really, and like, I would post every now and then when I could find Wi-Fi, and we were like at a town like getting groceries for the sailboat, but like, other than that, like, you have no contact really. And like, for a while, just people like, I saw a screenshot of like messages from Kinsley, my little sister, and my dad, and it was like, have you heard from Kaden? Is Kaden okay? Do you think we should worry? Is she alive? I'm like, oh my gosh, like, cause for like part of it, like, we were at the reef, the Great Barrier Reef for a while, like, I didn't talk to anybody for a few weeks. Like, no social media posts, no anything. So, yeah, and like I got home and it was my friend's birthday a couple days later, so we had a party for him. And he's like, yeah, like I got like scared, we thought you were dead and like you guys weren't coming back, and like he told our other friend that we probably weren't coming back because they haven't heard from us. So a bunch of people just thought we had like died at sea in Australia. But we came back. Yeah, after my layover in Hawaii, I landed in LAX, which was a pain. I got like a bus that was gonna take me from LAX to Goleta, which is as close as I can get to home, really, on a bus from LAX. And so my flight landed at like 6 a.m. The earliest bus was at 9 a.m. I go and like sit at where the bus is supposed to pick up, and I'm there early and I'm waiting. The bus doesn't come. It's like 45 minutes late, and I like text my dad and my grandma. I'm like, is it normal for the bus to be this late? And they're like, no. So they called and like they're like, oh, the bus came. I'm like, no, it didn't. I've been here since 6 a.m. like 3 hours early. It didn't come. And like, so they're like, okay, we'll just get on the 11 a.m. one. Okay, so I'm here from like 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. waiting for the bus. I didn't move at all. Didn't move. Stayed in that same spot. The 11 a.m. bus came, picked me up right there. So where was that 9 a.m. bus? I don't know. Anyway, it had been a long trip. I wanted to get home. I don't like LAX. Like, after leaving Hawaii, I just want to go home. Like, I don't want to be in LA. Anyway, yeah, I got to Goleta. My grandparents picked me up. We went and got In-N-Out because, like, there's no In-N-Out anywhere else. So that was, like, good. Then I went to Lompoc. Got to see my grandparents. I went to the fire station so I could see my dad. I hadn't seen my dad since May. And my dad and I are pretty close too, so that was cool. Like, I brought all my maps into the fire station so I could show him like the sailing trip up the coast and like show him pictures on my phone along with like where we were on the map, so that was cool. And like, I spent a few hours there, had dinner at the fire station. I just like missed those normal things, or the things that were normal, and like that homey feeling at like the fire station, just with my dad. Like, it had been so long. Yeah, and then I stayed in Lompoc. I didn't even go home, like home in Shell Beach where my dad's house is, for a few days. Yeah, and Kinsley actually ended up flying home that next day. She was like kind of homesick and she didn't have a place to stay in Hawaii anymore. So she flew home early. She wasn't supposed to be home for like another like week and a half or so, but she flew home and I was stoked. So yeah, I went to Shell Beach a few days later, and then I was finally like home. But then like real shit started happening, and I realized I started school like in a week and a half or 2 weeks. So I was like, I need to find a place to live. I need to like finalize my classes. Like, a couple of my classes got canceled, so I had to like fill spots, but there's no classes open. I had to do like makeup orientation so I can even get more classes because I was gone for orientation, and my dad had to go to fashion school orientation. Anyway, that was a mess. And yeah, I finally like officially have a place to live, like official as of like yesterday. I have a room at a house in Huntington that I'm gonna rent, and I get to move in tomorrow, and tomorrow's Saturday and school starts Monday. So things are very last minute, but they have worked out. Yeah, so I'm gonna be going to school and real life is starting and summer vacation is over and it's sad. But yeah, during that like phone call that kind of interrupted part of the video, I started getting together my smoothie stuff so I could just show you what is in it. Apples cut up. I'm gonna put that banana in. There's some blueberries, there's some carrots, spinach, pineapple, and almond milk. And I'm gonna put all that in the blender and then see how it tastes. I haven't made a good smoothie in a while. Like, I made good smoothies, but like not like my smoothies. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. And here it is. Looks delicious and green.